Okay, so I think we have some EASHL gameplay just lying around, so I think we can go on for as long as we want in this commentary without being held down by any time restraints. So today we're talking about Vasili Podkolzin, and this is a weird update. We've already used the weird update tag once in one of these Podkolzin videos, but we're using it again here. There is simply just a lot of weird stuff going on when it comes to Vasili Podkolzin's 2020-2021 that I think just getting this out of the way, just discussing what's been going on with Podkolzin recently, is indeed important for Vancouver Canucks fans who want to know what's going on with their prospects, because Podkolzin quite literally is the top Vancouver Canucks prospect at the moment. He is the guy who is probably the best player in the system that is not suited up for the Vancouver Canucks or Utica or anything like that. He is just a prospect, and he is what most people would call the best one. So we're talking today about Vasili Podkolzin because, to put it into blunt terms, he got demoted. He got sent down from the KHL over to the VHL, from SKA St. Petersburg in the top Russian league over to SKA Neva St. Petersburg in the second-tier league. We've spoken about SKA Neva St. Petersburg and the league that this team is in, the VHL, several times over this past calendar year on the YouTube channel, but essentially SKA Neva St. Petersburg plays in the VHL, which is pretty much the Russian equivalent of the AHL. It's the second-tier, number 2 pro league in Russia. And Podkolzin was sent over there. He ended up playing first-line minutes, and he got himself an assist on what was the power play game-winning goal. He had 16 minutes and 37 seconds of action, and he looked pretty good, according to people who actually watched the game. But you may be looking at this and saying, okay, well, if he's so great, why did he get demoted? Well, let's go over some of the numbers first, and then we'll go over some quotes. Podkolzin, 19 years of age, a 6'1", 192-pound right winger, was at 4 points in 18 KHL games this season before getting sent down. Now, we've noted in the previous few videos about how Podkolzin was given ice time after a lot of his veteran teammates on SKA St. Petersburg got ill due to the beer bug that's still going around, and as a result, he was given a lot of playing time. But as some of these guys started to come back, as the games went on, Podkolzin's play time started to dip a little bit more. So now, he's back in the VHL, the second-tier pro league in Russia, and we have ourselves what was an interview done with the GM of SKA St. Petersburg. This was done by Rick Dhaliwal. He posted a tweet going over to the Twitlonger link, which we're going to be looking at over here. Let's take a look at some of the quotes from Roman Rottenberg, the vice president and GM of SKA St. Petersburg, about Vasili Podkolzin. Rottenberg can still see a player with huge NHL potential. 100%. I see the potential in Podkolzin. He does a lot of things right. He's not just a goal-scoring forward. He needs to work harder. Very simple. And he knows that. Now, hold on, before we continue, I saw a lot of people memeing on this, saying, oh, he needs to work harder, a big right-wing power forward who can go really fast. This is Jake Virtanen number 2, ladies and gentlemen, and I guess you could make the somewhat flawed argument about that, because we know Jake Virtanen is a player who has had his work ethic issues on and off the ice over the span of his career here in Vancouver, but for Vasili Podkolzin, it's a little bit of a different boat, because Podkolzin to me is a guy who just never stops working. The foot is always on the gas pedal. The problem with Podkolzin, as we discussed in a video, a year ago before the draft even happened, is that even though he does put in 110% effort, and even though he does have a motor that goes really high, and even though he is a player that a lot of coaches are going to love because he plays on the PK, he blocks shots, he can give a tough time to the opponents, where does he go from there? Because offensive instincts, offensive IQ, goal-scoring machine qualities, all that stuff is different than just putting in effort, being a bulldog, and hounding the puck out there when you're on the ice. It's why we have seen such good domination from Podkolzin in U18 tournaments where he's playing against guys that are smaller than him. But in environments like the KHL, environments like the World Juniors, Podkolzin's resume, goal-scoring-wise at least, has not been as strong. He only had 1 goal in the 7 World Junior games he played. And sure, he did have 4 assists, which is great to see. You love to see playmaking coming out of Podkolzin, but at the same time, there still is that philosophical argument. Even though he works very hard, what exactly does he do with the skills that he has? Let's go over what exactly Rottenberg, the GM of SKA St. Petersburg, said about Podkolzin's progression in the KHL. When the beer bug hit our team, Vasili was getting a lot of ice time, up to 25 minutes, but he also got tired and was playing too much. We've sent him to the VHL to get ready for the national junior team. Get in shape, work hard, and become a leader. We believe in him. The coaching staff does as well. We're working with him to be a leader. Then they talk about how it's difficult to get points in a men's league, which is absolutely true. Obviously, as a guy who is only 19 years old, you can't go into the KHL and expect the world when it comes to being a #1 goal scorer. Not every prospect out there can be Igor Chinakhov, now can't they? But there is indeed a chance over here that is mentioned that they'll probably give Vasili Podkolzin the captaincy of the Russian junior team, so obviously that indeed is something that we have to look forward to. Also, there's word that fellow Vancouver Canucks prospect Dmitry Zlodiev is going to also be a key contributor to that team as well. We're going to have another video separate talking about Zlodiev because he has a completely different story that I think everybody on this YouTube channel should be aware about. But at the end of the day, Vasili Podkolzin got demoted. Vasili Podkolzin got an assist in his first game in the VHL, but this is not a bad thing. Obviously, I've said all these things about Vasili Podkolzin and, oh, where does the goal scoring and all that, where does a high-engine player take himself production-wise? But at the end of the day, that's me comparing Podkolzin with the same philosophical argument as the same arguments you could say when you were comparing him and Cole Caulfield back in 2019. The fact is, Podkolzin, if you're taking a look at it and you're asking for a #1 point producer in the same way you were asking that out of a Zegras or a Caulfield or a Jack Hughes, etc., you're not really going to get that with Podkolzin. I see him more as a 40, 50-point guy in the NHL, but a guy who, if he plays his way, can develop the same amount of love from the Vancouver fan base, the coaching staff, the media, etc., as, let's say, a Tyler Mott. Tyler Mott's a guy whom Canucks fans know. You don't get Tyler Mott because you want him to score points. You get Tyler Mott because of everything else he does around the game. The guy has a motor. The guy doesn't quit. The guy gives his opponents a tough time. And Podkolzin is like that, but he's bigger. You could say he's got the potential to be stronger. And there's a goal-scoring element to his game that presented itself sometimes, but not all the time, in his overall prospect profile. So, there is indeed an attractive package in Podkolzin. It's just a very weird combination of stuff. Once in a while, you get some really good lights-out goal scoring. Once in a while, you get some playmaking in there. Other times, though, you see him not getting any ice time, and even more times than that, you see him hounding on the puck. But at the end of the day, this is our best Vancouver Canucks prospect, and as a guy who definitely does have the capacity, in my opinion, to one day play upwards of, 18, 19, 20 minutes a night in the NHL as a top 6 caliber winger, he's a guy who I would love to have on my team. Tyler Mott with a goal-scoring edge that presents itself not all the time like a Zegras or a Caulfield, but who has those other qualities that make him as, if not even more, valuable in his own right. So talk to me in the comments what you think about Vasili Podkolzin's demotion. Hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.